Welcome back. President-elect Trump and Gavin Newsom trading shots on who's to blame and who's politicizing what over the deadly wildfires that have ravaged the Golden State. Watch.
It's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish.
Well, he isn't the only person calling out Greasy Gav. Watch this.
Literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it. Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
Dana, that woman speaks for so many. There is so much frustration. They are angry at Karen Bass. They're particularly angry at this governor who's had a long, long time to fix these problems that Rick Caruso has said that they predicted them. They could have prevented them.
And Gavin Newsom basically has the run of government out there with the state legislature, right? So if you wanted to put some points on the board and get some things done, you could have. You've also could have had he had the political might to be able to tell the environmentalists, go pound sand. We're not going to leave kindling around here when we know these Santa Ana winds are coming. We are going to clear the brush. And yes, we are going to fill the reservoirs. Do not file that. Do not defend that lawsuit. There are lots of things that he could have done. I was thinking today, imagine if Ron DeSantis were the governor of Florida. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, the governor of California. Yeah. Even for a year, the things that might be different today. And I think that her being willing to go up to him and Gavin Newsom being willing to talk to her at least, rather than Karen Bass, who was just dumbfounded after 14 hours on a flight and couldn't come up with, I'm sorry. But what was she doing? Just watching the flight map for 14 hours? And
no, she said she was on the phone, but it doesn't feel like.
It doesn't really look like it. But they didn't fill up the reservoirs. This is also something that, one, there's the short-term problem, but there is a longer-term problem. And we've talked about that with the little Delta smelt and all of these things. There is a reckoning coming. And one of the exciting things for people that want to regroup and have better environmental and land conservation policies going forward is that with this new administration, you have a lot of different people that will be there. And one of them is Governor Doug Burgum of North Dakota. He understands these issues very, very well and will be instrumental in helping make this happen. And then Brooke Rollins over at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they oversee forests. So I think you're going to see a concentrated effort to make sure this doesn't happen again. But we're just at that tipping point of understanding the scope and scale of this disaster.
Yes.
And that woman was just one person who lost everything, doesn't know where her kids are going to go to school.
No, the schools have literally burned down. And again, you're talking about something that is so incredibly personal. But Greg, obviously you are from California. Gavin Newsom has had a lot of time to fix these things, but he doesn't want to because they're not sexy. You know, as you pointed out in the past, he's much more interested in virtue signaling and talking about things that feel good and make him seem like a good person, as opposed to tackling the things that he's not going to get a lot of credit for, that take a lot more work, but will help the long-term health of the state should he resign.
Excellent question. You know, I find that these strongest anti-communists were once communists. You know, the most persuasive Republicans are usually an ex-Democrat that was burned by their policies. Look at the trans movement. The most persuasive voices on against child mutilation are the detransitioners. You look at the most interesting Republicans we have now, they're basically canceled Democrats, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., Tulsi. So the most powerful agent for change is the person burned by their own beliefs. And I think you're going to see that. I was just thinking, too, the reaction to the fires in L.A. kind of mirrored the reaction to crime in New York. It's where the public suddenly realizes that there's no help coming. There's no help coming. And we sit there and we talked about crime for years and nobody listened. We have a governor who went on the subway and said how safe it is. And days later, a woman was set on fire. Ironically, it took a woman in flames to get people to realize that platitudes won't save you. And it's doing that right here. Lastly, it's weird. I was just thinking about this, that, so many people are homeless. There's like thousands of homeless people. I don't think any of them are going to be sleeping on the streets. Just think about why not? What's the difference?
Well, the money is allocated towards something that hasn't gotten better. It has only gotten worse.
No, I'm just saying there are people who are homeless that aren't going to be on the streets. So why are the homeless on the streets? You know what I mean? It's like we think like they don't have, there's something about the lifestyle. If you have a network of people around you, if you haven't cut yourself off from the world, you will find a place.
So people are angry. The anger has to go somewhere. Why shouldn't it go to the governor?
It should. And I think that he feels okay about it. I mean, he wasn't trying to turn his back on her and push her off on a staffer. I think that Gavin Newsom, especially in the post-French Laundry world, understands that you need to do constituent relations better, and you need to be a public face for it. And I haven't seen him cowering from this. I think that's
the only thing he does. I think he's a public face, and I think he's really good at optics. But when he says things like, we're going to leave the water up to the local folks, it's a state issue. It's not just a local issue. And
I think he was trying. It was a longer conversation than just that soundbite, obviously. And I'm not here to say that everything has gone perfectly. Obviously not. It's going to be $52 billion probably to repair this. You know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands displaced. I hope that it's only 5 who have passed away, but we don't know. And it's not because I'm a Pollyanna or I can't take it. I just don't see why it's worthwhile for President-elect Trump to be calling him Gavin Newsom, or to say, like, you should resign right now. Like, if Barack Obama had shown up in New Jersey after Sandy and said, like, hey, Chris, you could lose a few pounds or something like that, or gone down to Florida and said to DeSantis, like, those lifts are doing a lot of work down there, right? How tall are you really? Like, why
I don't think he's.
Yeah, he is. He's making fun. Greasy Gavin Newsom.
You know, but Jessica, that's the issue with you guys.
No,
You're so obsessed with talk.
I'm not.
And not action.
I have action things to say on top of that. I'm making a
point
then say
about them, Jessica, because no one cares
stop talking
about
so I can.
Name calling. All right.
Actually, some people do.
No, no one cares what he calls them, Jessica. The state is on fire. The state's on fire, and you're out here saying they have water.
No.
They don't have water.
I'm saying that the tanks were full. There was a pressure problem. Either way,
Jessica, there's a pressure problem because their tank was empty.
The governor of California should not have to put a fact check up on his site that says Trump is conflating 2 entirely unrelated things: the conveyance of water to South California and supply from local storage. No such document as, quote, water restoration declaration exists. It's pure fiction. Why can't President-elect Trump take the mandate that he got, right? A lot of left-leaning people voted for him and show up and just say...
I know we're in the middle of Jesse on Jesse action, but let's hear from Jesse Water.
I was loving that action.
Jesse.
I mean, I have press releases from the state, from the DOJ. California sues Trump administration to block water rules. Attorney General Becerra files lawsuit against Trump administration. They're trying to send water from the north to the south, and they're suing them to stop it because of fish that no one eats, Jessica. That's all we're saying. That's what we're saying. We're saying that the guy can't run the state, and he's sitting there with his hands in his pockets. And you're bringing up the homeless. There's a good chance the homeless started this fire. Did you know that 54% of the fires that the LA Fire Department respond to were started by the homeless? And we're spending more money on the homeless than we are on stopping these fires, Jessica. This guy is a bad executive, and he wants to run for president, and he's got no army behind him. Bezos is gone. Bezos is in Mar-a-Lago. Zuckerberg's at Mar-a-Lago. Who's going to stand with Newsom while everything's burnt to a crisp? Nobody.
Not his wealthy billionaire donors who used to have homes. They're certainly not going to stand with him and bankroll his presidential run. I think this hurts his legacy, and I don't think he rebounds from this.
Jessica,
and I hope he doesn't.
Whoever smelt it, dealt it.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.